I think I'm gonna play this while I go pee.
What type of response did you experience?
This is like low-level villain shit.
We can't have barbecue and fire out there.
It's yours. You think it's yours.
Here, let's look at this psychotic lady, though. This witch lady bought land next to a public creek and is now trying to cut off access to the public creek.
Not only is the government trying to take land that I bought fair and square, but they're trying to force me to share it with the public. Paying taxes doesn't mean that they have to acknowledge that the land is privately owned. I'm currently being sued by all 3 of my county commissioners. Unbeknownst to me, my backyard has been used by the public for about 35 years. I really like it that way. So when I came in and started swinging around my private property rights, that didn't go too well. The public started complaining, rumors of harassment emerged, even harassment against kids. Like, come on, Karen.
Wait, come on, Karen. You're the one who's being a Karen. I don't understand. What? Bro, people just say things nowadays. It's like, what do you mean? You're literally trying to enforce private property rights over a creek that everybody wants to use.
Don't wanna talk.
Dying at this song as I sit in nature's calming church and listen to the slow babble of Bear Creek.
I don't wanna talk about things we've gone through.
I reflect on the advertised words, Bear Creek running through your backyard.
Oh, it's hurt.
And think of the number of times my home in this land was sold to others before me. I wonder why something so beautiful was always sold in the winter. And why Jefferson County never tried to claim it until now. I remember the big dreams I had as a little girl growing up in middle-class America. Yeah, the American dream is like taking over, public areas that other people are utilizing and just like stopping them from utilizing that. Enclosures, you know? Someone was saying, oh, she's wearing like native jewelry. The irony of her talking about stolen land and enclosures as she's wearing native jewelry. You bet your fucking ass. I will bet $100 that she claims that she has native ancestry, okay? And she got a 23andMe done, and it was like 3% something indigenous. It's rapey for the community use of a creek that's been part of the park for decades. When will kids learn that no means no?
That's what the county did. They were seeking to take my land or give the public access to it in 3 different ways. Number 1.
Oh, also, apparently it turns out her property f***ing ends at the creek, not, own the creek. For 35 years of public access, Bear Creek in Kittredge through a plot of land next to a community park. A woman cut off the creek access, claiming the land is hers.
A peaceful community comes to mind when visiting the quaint mountain town of Kittredge.
My next door neighbor quite literally brought me a pie.
A busy park, especially during Canyon Fest, a bubbling creek, and friendly people like Jimmy Dixon.
It's that type of community that people really look out for each other, and neighbors are really close.
Well, for anyone who's ever bought a house, you know that you know when you know.
For a time, new neighbor Terrelyn Romero was welcomed. Last year, she bought her dream home with a backyard creek right next to the town's beloved park.
It was going to be my private backyard.
Yeah, yo, this chick thinks she's Nestle, bro. You can't do that. You know, that is above your pay grade. You can't be fucking shutting off access to fresh water unless you're Nestle.
Backyard. I had no reason to believe what I know now, which is that the public was using my land as an extension of the park.
To most members in this community, this park is the heart of Kittredge.
For 35 years, people had access to the creek. But Romero sent
in
us
this creek
old
all the
maps
time. I'm
and
gonna moon
surveys
her.
She says proved the creek.
Lol, healthcare industry. She works at Evernorth, a subsidiary of Cigna. Terrelyn Romero isn't a developer. She isn't some rich outsider. She's a native Coloradan who works in the healthcare industry. Oh, yeah, she works at Cigna. Nice. When she bought the disputed property in 2021, she said she just wanted a nice place to live, enjoy nature, and build a new life.
The access area is her land.
When I first started exercising private property rights, it was really just about liability. I had some basic signs up to let them know that they were on.
She had a GoFundMe that raised almost $14K. Every day, we are getting closer and closer to eternal damnation. I'm no evangelical, but like, we are in hell, okay? This is like landlord tipping. Yes, this is like the same, if not worse.
on private land.
The crowds became too much, she says, with trash, human feces, and digging. She and her fiancé started telling people to leave.
I'm just saying, like, we can't have barbecue and fire out there, man. Not, sir. It is private property. You have a wonderful day.
What type of response did you experience from the community?
An aggressive one.
Cannot wait to see you.
Suddenly, Romero cut off creek access. That prompted threats and made her feel like the most hated neighbor, she says.
I feel
Oh, she's crying.
really angry because I tried to do the right thing when I moved in. I realized that my land meant a lot to the community and to my neighbors. I tried really, really hard to compromise and to share and to be reasonable.
Jefferson County filed a lawsuit against Romero, seeking adverse possession of the land. The county hopes a judge will declare the creek access area part of the park, citing the fact it's been used by the public for 35 years. Romero is fighting the lawsuit as neighbors pick sides.
I think it's too far at this point to try to rebuild a lot of the animosity between neighbors around it.
Back to Jimmy Dixon. He moderates a Kittredge Facebook page that's turned ugly.
Some of my neighbors that I really respected, I've seen a new side to them, and it's just been frustrating to watch.
I knew you guys were fabulous, but you're also a freaking force.
Romero has
I hate that. You'll have to be creative, and your attorneys need to know how and be willing to protect you. Bad mama, grandma. Oh God, I hate this world. Like they're trying to extend their fucking private property to an area that they do not own. Why does she have defenders? Why are there people who are like, yeah, hell yeah, keep fighting the good fight, sister? What is happening? It just makes me so sad. Like this is like a low-level villain shit. You know what I mean? You're basically a low-level villain. You know, you're shutting off access from children that want to go to a fucking creek and like experience a little bit of public land. I don't even fucking like nature. You know what I mean? I don't even like nature. I hate being out in nature. And even I get that as a concept.
a sympathetic social media following herself.
And they've been incredibly supportive. They've validated the way that I've been feeling about this, and they've encouraged me to keep fighting for my property rights.
We've been getting a lot of social media trolls that have not only threatened the community, but threatened moderators and individuals that live in the community.
A town divided literally by a creek.
I see both sides. I see that this park was made intended to have creek access. Water access is really important for community.
Dude, like, it's monstrous, man. Straight up. Anyone that fucking shuts off like any part of like a natural resource from a public park because they claim ownership over it is a demon. Straight up. I love public parks. I'll tell you what, as someone who frequently visits the wonderful public parks here in Los Angeles, I'm a major fan. You've heard me talk about this. I think it is profoundly important to have public parks. I think, it's really great for community building. It's awesome. I don't know. It's just like so deeply frustrating. Public parks are nature. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, I'm a big Parks and Rec sucker, okay? It's literally this situation.
If you own the beach property, right? Do you own the sand and the water? Because nobody owns the water. It's God's water. What if someone?
Yeah, I mean, literally, nobody owns the water. It's God's water. It's your water. It's the public water.
But I also understand the property owner's side. There's property rights.
Can't people just meet in the middle? Exactly where that middle is will be up to a judge. And for Romero, who actually lives in the very home once owned by town founder C.M. Kittredge, it's about more than land.
The county contends that, you know what, the public has been using this land for like 35 years. Why just not?
Turns out the river changed shape since 1920, but they never updated the land rights map. Okay. I mean, let's be real. She bought the property and she literally was like, now I know why they sell the property in the winter. Take it up with who you bought it from, asshole. Okay? You already knew. You're like, oh, well, I was sold this property under false pretenses because I didn't know that there was so much public fucking traffic happening in my backyard. Okay. Well, that's your fault, dumbass. Go deal with whoever the sold you this while claiming that you own the entire landline. You don't get to over so many people because you got over. Like, you don't, that's not how that works. Like, you can't make it the entire fucking town's problem that you didn't do your due diligence. You know what I mean? She openly admits it too. Well, I guess you can do that in the United States of America because this is a hyper individualistic shithole, okay? Where, you know, you can gain momentum and support over some of the most like perverted, and I would say demonic activity like this.
Not let this go.
That's a loaded question. You know, I think there's a million reasons why I should not just let this go. I am fighting for the right to be able to say no on your private land when you want to say no. And I think that that's really important as an American and as a woman.
Romero and the
As a woman.
county have agreed to allow public access until a judge makes a final decision.
It's so
the
manipulative.
County declined an interview about this story, but sent a
It's so manipulative. It's so fucking gross. As a woman, she's like trying to go with the government overreach narrative when you, as a woman, okay, got fucking owned and you paid extra dollars without doing your fucking due diligence on land that you didn't fucking own. Okay, that's so stupid. Utilize the court system to your advantage, not by trying to enforce enclosures on public land, further enclosures on public land, but instead to go back to the person who sold you the shitty thing and try to get money out of them. She just wants it for herself. Like, she thinks it's like her own backyard pool. You know what I mean? It's so dumb.
The statement that says, in part, Jefferson County has requested that the court decide the dispute as soon as possible to reaffirm its right to use the property that the public has enjoyed for over 35 years. Now, a big issue here is the actual boundary between the park and the private land. The county believes it should be the creek, but the creek has actually moved over the years. Romero says, hey, it doesn't matter if the creek has moved. My plot, my surveys, my map shows my plot extends all the way up to the edge of that park, and that's my land.
This is a tough one because you can see both sides to this, right? But I have a question. So if a judge comes in and determines...
No, you can't see both sides to this, man. What is happening? Yo, local news is like they even smell a little bit of money. They're like, we have to literally defend you. Like, is that what's going on here? Where they just like... Even if you smell a little bit of capital ownership, you're like, oh man, I'm gonna do everything I fucking can.
Yes, right. The county can come in and like retake this private land. How does that work? Does that happen? Like, is that a thing?
It happens sometimes, but it's very rare. I mean, it's a high threshold for the government to come in and take someone's private land. If the judge decides that this should belong to the public, that's going to possibly not sit well with a lot of people who side with Romero.
Yeah, those people. Those people can suck my dick. You should, okay, take it up with the person who sold you this. Oh, I was right, by the way, apparently.
Hey, it's nice to meet you. I just bought property in the area. Mm-hmm. Welcome. Welcome. You look new here. Yeah, so like I said, I just bought property. I just moved in. Excuse me, you bought property? No, you didn't buy that. You didn't buy that. I've been using that property for years with my grandkids. You didn't buy that. I did. I even have the deed and the land survey, so it's mine. I'm paying taxes. Oh, it's yours. You think it's yours. You are stealing it. You are stealing it. You are a thief.
I like that she is literally the person that she is like claiming that she's against. But because she's saying, no, you don't understand. I'm doing private property. So, like, it's I guess her supporters think that she's not the Karen in this particular situation. It's very weird.
You look Mexican, too. You know what? You're not going to get away with this. You're not going to get away with it. You can't take that from us.
You look
It's
Mexican,
ours.
too?
It belongs
Wait, what? No, she doesn't. What the fuck?
to the community.
Like, or what does look Mexican mean? There's, like, white Mexicans. What the fuck does that mean?
I'm in danger.
Okay, she didn't say she was native here, by the way. Oh, check the tags. Hashtag Native American. Like, what? Fucking locked it.
Who believe that, you know, this is her private land. She has a right to assert her rights on her private land. So where the middle is, what is the public interest? Is the public interest going to be giving the park or the land back to the park or to the park? Or is the public interest making sure a private landowner keeps their land?
Right, setting that precedent for future cases.
Exactly. So it's that judge has a very, very hard decision to make, I think.
I know this wasn't a voice in your story, but I'm curious about the previous landowner.
Good question.
If they have any thought on all this.
I tried reaching them. I
No,
tried
couldn't get
reaching
them?
them, and I could not reach those
Because
folks.
they, in theory, were the ones who allowed this for decades to continue, and there was no problem.
There was no problem. You know, this was...
She's a part of the Navajo tribe. Native Americans are famously anti, mass utilization of like natural resources such as water. Like the only time Native American or indigenous people actually fight back is when like an oil company is like, we're going to build a fucking pipeline on top of your water and it's going to leak into your water and there's not really anything you can do about it. That's the only time when Native Americans are like, actually, no, that's pretty fucking, you shouldn't do that. So that everyone can literally use it.
This was, you know, a park that was established in 1986. And back in those days, you know, things were done a little bit differently from what I was told. Mm-hmm. And those, you know, those owners may have had a handshake agreement with the community. That was a long time ago. So we don't really know how that played out. But what's clear here is that you have things written on surveys and maps. You have a new property owner coming in, and she says, I had no idea about the historical nature of this land. And when she saw people coming onto the land and seeing the debris and the trash, she felt like, hey, this is my land here. And she says, you know, I'm paying taxes on this land.
Well, and if somebody's accidentally lights a fire on your land,
Yes.
to her point, is she liable for that?
Yeah.
That would be scary.
I mean, here's a great idea. Fucking revoke ownership of the land you do not own. So it's like covered under the public park. That's great. There you go. Problem solved into oblivion. You know what I mean? I don't really understand. You shouldn't have ownership over that regardless.
So she's had to get some attorneys to take on the county lawsuit, and who knows when the county is going to make a decision, or rather the judge will make a decision on this.
All right, keep us posted with this one. This is interesting. I know a lot of folks are going to want to know what happens.
Yeah, there's a big balance here. Private property versus public property here. Where should it go?
That's what the county did. They are seeking to take my land or give the public access to it in 3 different ways. Number 1, adverse possession. They're basically claiming squatters' rights. Number 2, possession by accretion, which basically means they're making the argument that the creek moved over time, and because it moved, the property line changed, and now my land is their land. And number 3, the most of them all.
He says it's rapey.
Prescriptive easement. Under prescriptive easement, I continue to own the land and pay taxes for it, but I have to share it with the public.
Give it to the public parks. Give it to the government. Give it to the government. You no longer have to pay taxes for it. Except you don't want to do that because you bought it at a high markup thinking that you own that fucking land. And you don't, when you want to sell it in the future, you don't want to sell a smaller piece of the fucking land because you automatically eat like, I don't know, at least a couple $100,000 worth of land. That's the real issue here. Let's be real. The real issue here is that she got over by whoever the previous owner was, who made her carry the bag, made her hold the bag, and she doesn't want to be the bag holder. Anyway, Minion Death Cult did a really good analysis on this, so shouts out to them. Good job.